Hi, I'm Glenn Whipp with the Los Angeles Times. Joining me today, his latest one-man show is on HBO. Ghetto Clown, it's John Leguizamo. John, welcome, man.
Thank you for having me. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. In New York City, it's a little rainy, but cool.
It's actually cloudy here in LA too. What's up?
Well, the global warming's what's up.
Yeah, I've heard.
Topsy-turvy.
So Ghetto Clown,
Yeah.
I mean, this is a long. You've been working this. I mean, the show that we saw on HBO.
Yeah.
That was taped last November, right?
Yeah, November in New Jersey. After an 8-year, journey to trying to get to capture the career paradigm, to break that mold, because it hadn't been done right before. How do you do the whole life of an artist and career and tell that in a one-man show? It's very difficult without seeming like you're patting yourself on the back or just full off. So I had to work real hard, and audiences across America really helped me. I mean, I traveled everywhere with it, and I do a lot of Q&As and go back to the drawing board. And it took me 8 years to crack that paradigm.
And the process, from what I understand, started for you. You would just go to do colleges. You would bring some index cards, your resume, some alcohol beforehand, and just kind of go out and let it fly. And
Well, I had run into sort of an emotional impasse. It's a polite word for what it was. And I didn't want to perform live anymore. So what happened was I got talked into doing these college talks to inspire kids. And I go there with my resume and index cards of certain stories, and I'd lubricate myself to unwind and to forget that there was an audience there. And all of a sudden I started talking, and these stories started coming back, and the kids loved it. They gave me a standing O and everything, and they felt really inspired. I go, oh my God, there's a story here. There's something here that I can tell that inspires kids and people, and that's what made me write Ghetto Clown.
So with the lubrication, you would just need to go back immediately to the hotel after the show, right? To write down what worked.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, though, because this is your 5th one-man show. And I would imagine, I would have guessed that you would be pretty much used to getting up there on stage by yourself and kind of doing this sort of thing, so lubrication would not be a necessary component.
I think what happens, I'm not the only one. It happens to a lot of comedians and performers. I don't know. It starts to build in your head this thing of you've got to be better, and you got to top yourself, and you got to be incredible, and you don't want to disappoint, you don't want to fail, and it just builds up in your head in some sort of kind of paranoia, and it just kind of freezes you up, man. It just makes you not want to go out there because you feel like you're just going to disappoint. You're just never going to live up to these massive expectations that you've built up in your fantasy, and it makes it really hard to perform. And that's what I think happened to a lot of comedians that I used to love. I haven't seen Chris Tucker out there. I haven't seen Dave Chappelle, Cat Williams, people like that who I really admired, and they kind of, that stuff happens to you.
Like where you get inside your own head too much.
Yeah, and I think it happens to actors as well, and writer's block and all that. I mean, it's all self-imposed pressure of feeling like you have to be better than you are, than you can possibly ever be, and that's kind of what Ghetto Clown deals with. It's sort of my whole journey as a street kid, underprivileged in this country, sort of like an outcast, and having all these mentors who helped me and saw something in me that they thought I could be better and do something with my life, and they really put that hand on my shoulder and said that I could be somebody, and I pay tribute to them in the show, my math teacher and Mr. Zufis and all of them, and how then I got an ability. I was able to write these stories about my life and my people and my community and my struggles, and make it funny at the same time. And then I ran into problems, that's the 1%er problem, and success problems, and I kind of short circuited, and then I was able to to get over that as well, and that's what that whole show is that whole journey of how I was able to free myself up to do what I love to do most, you know, which is perform on stage and take people on this imaginary journey, and with just words and mime and gesture, which I love, and voices, and how we can all go on these journeys, no matter where, across to Latin America, through time, just with words and language. It's such a powerful thing to be in a monologue situation.
And for those who haven't seen the show or the HBO special, maybe you can talk about a little about where the title Ghetto Clown comes from. Where did that? Who inspired that?
Well, Ghetto Clown was, you know, I come from the ghetto. I come from, you know, brokenness, and you had to be funny to survive, man. Because you know, it was like reverse manifest destiny when we moved in. We pushed all the white people out, but before they left, you know, I got beat up by all the Italian, Irish, Jewish, all the white peoples, and I learned how to be funny, so I could, you know, get enough time so I could run and make a break for it. So that's how I started being funny, and by the time I went to school, I was feral, and you know, and my math teacher, Mrs. Leguizamo, you have the attention span of a sperm. If you can only rechannel your annoying attention, pain in the ass ways, make something of yourself. Well, you know, if they can make penicillin out of moldy bread, they can make something out of you. Why don't you become a comedian? And he was the first guy to give me that impetus, and I, you know, I started to go to acting class, and I found myself.
But I guess along the way, as you share in the show, not every actor that you've been paired with has necessarily appreciated your style. And the clown, I'm thinking about Carlitos Way with Al Pacino, where he gave you some very specific direction.
Poor Al. I mean, he's the greatest actor ever. I mean, in my estimation. And the poor guy was dealing with me. You know, I just came from the stage. I had a lot of success. I was used to be by myself on stage and getting all the attention, and they put me in Carlitos Way, you know, and you know, I just knew these characters. And when I got out there, De Palma gave me carte blanche, and I just went off, man. I was just gonna blow myself up, and I was like, you know, adding lines, talking like crazy right in Pacino's face. Psst, yeah, what, bitch? And poor Pacino's like, cut, what the hell was that? Just do less, John. And I was like, if I do less, then you're gonna win. So I felt mad competitive with the poor guy, but he was right. Less is more in most cases. Sometimes less is just less, though.
It's just kind of funny coming from Al Pacino. Again, I share your love from him, but not exactly known as being a less is more kind of guy, you know.
Although he was subtle, I got to say he was subtle in Carlitos Way, though. It was a
right.
Subtle phase, short-lived, but.
and you walked into that brief window of his subtle phase of his career.
Right, when I was like chewing up the scenery. Yeah, it was like we both crossed purposes there.
Now, I mean, with your other shows, and you mentioned this in Ghetto Clown, that you've had maybe some pushback from family members who thought you shared maybe a little too much. With this, I guess the concern was your wife. Maybe she wasn't going to necessarily appreciate everything in the show.
Well, she still doesn't. She doesn't know. You're blowing up my spot. No, she wasn't as happy. I think I have to close the door.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, she wasn't very happy with a lot of stuff that I said, but you know, I would cut it out when she came to see the show and then put it back in after she left. And she go, "Oh, thank you for doing that." I go, "Of course, I love you. Why would I do that to you?" You know. Of course, when she saw the HBO presentation, I had to have, you know, we had to talk.
Yeah. So up until then, there had been two very different versions of the show. One for general audiences and one for family members.
One for my wife.
Yeah.
My mom's over it. She's like, you do whatever you do, just pay for my rent.
We have one question from somebody on Twitter wondering, I mean, talking about revelatory, have you ever heard it from other people you've worked with in Hollywood that you've maybe revealed a little too much or talked a little too much about your experiences on film sets and stuff?
You know, early on, I did hear a lot. I go, you shouldn't be telling these stories till, like, you know, you're ready to retire, you know, because it does cause, you know, it does cause problems. People in Hollywood want to be talked about it in grandiose ways and respectfully. And I mean, I'm not really attacking anybody in the whole show except Steven Seagal. I think. I mean, I think I talk about everybody else respectfully and try to tell the truth of what happened and still, you know, be culpable for my part of the situation and the problem.
So
except for Seagal
yeah.
part, because I didn't do anything. And I was actually really cool and chill, and it was the first day of rehearsal, and he comes in and he goes, "I demand here. I have the last word. If you disagree, and I started like laughing because I thought he was kidding, because who talks like that? And he elbowed me in the chest, and he's 6'5", man. He's a big Aikido master. Knocked me against a brick wall, knocked all the air out of me, and I was like, "What? What?" That's what I really want to say, is how fat he is and how he runs like a chick, because he does. If you look it up on YouTube, you can find Steven Seagal runs like a chick, and you'll see he does.
So if I do that,
not you. Who got the last laugh now, Steven?
I will be doing that specific search the minute we're through here. And do you feel like, I mean, the goal with this show, because you've done, like, you know, the other shows before, that was, I mean, to get to a place where you're really honest, really open, really raw, do you feel like you hit that mark with this show?
I did. I felt like I went the rawest of all my shows, which was sort of the challenge here. You know, how raw can I be? How much can I reveal? And I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't really comfortable about everything. There were a lot of things that made me very embarrassed. There was a lot of stuff that I had still a lot of shame about, and I felt like I had to tell an honest story and to inspire kids, you know, who come from my kind of lifestyle, who come from my, you know, underprivileged background. They had to hear the whole truth. I felt if I skimped on something, I don't think the journey would be as truthful. So I did it. You know, I won't do it again. I'm not going to put myself through those paces again. You know, next time it'll be just, you know, silly, frivolous stuff.
Yeah, well, I was kind of wondering, where do you go for one-man show number 6 after this?
I'm going to start going like what they used to be one-man shows, you know, Mark Twain, young Abraham Lincoln, you know, historic pieces. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to go the other way.
So you're going to
bring it back full circle, away from the personal, back to the historic one-man shows.
Young Abe Lincoln, huh?
Yeah.
Like
me as young Abe Lincoln.
Stephen Douglas.
Yeah, exactly. Before Mr. Booth.
You can do both. Yeah, do both sides of the debate there, because it is a one-man show. You wouldn't be able to do that. But Log Cabin, all that thing. You're cooking.
No, but you can use slides.
Yeah.
Mixed media, make it modern.
The one aspect of your career that did not get covered in the show that we've got a few people asking about, Sid the Sloth. No mention of that beloved character.
Oh, I tried. I mean, I had everything in there at first. You know, it was everything but the kitchen sink. I had The Pest. I had Super Mario Brothers. I had Summer of Sam. I had Revenge. I had everything, and Sid the Sloth. But it was too much. I had to take just the really important elements of my life and the important incidents, and the rest had to fall by the wayside. And so Sid the Sloth is not there, but he lives, you know, there'll be a 5, so don't worry. He's got plenty of time.
There will be a 5. I mean,
those
movies make like $1 billion worldwide.
I know, it's crazy how people like that stuff. You know, I don't even know. I especially worldwide, it's like people, I guess, family's a big deal, and these Ice Age really centered about family and belonging to a pack. And it's got a lot of strong family values. So I think that's what appeals to everybody.
And sloths are universal, right? I
thought they were just in the Americas.
Apparently, they travel all over the world.
Yeah, they're cute. We just went to Peru and we saw some in the Amazon jungle. They're actually unbelievably, adorably cute. You want to adopt those little suckers.
You haven't already? I would imagine that after these movies and the success that you'd have like a couple running around your place there.
No, I have children,
Yeah.
so
And
I don't need pets anymore.
sloths and children don't mix.
Pets and children don't mix.
No.
You either have one or the other.
Usually children are begging for pets though.
They always are, but they don't walk them. They promise to walk them. And forget it.
I mean,
I'll walk Daddy. I'll take care of the animal. Yeah, and then the animal comes, and then who's walking it? Dad.
right.
6 a.m. in the morning, 11 p.m. at night. Yeah, she said she'd walk it. Yeah, sure, walking, rain, snow.
I'm just glad the door is closed right now, so your kids, if they're outside,
Exactly.
cannot hear
I
this.
put white noise. I got to put a white noise thing on. Like
We-
my therapist.
But and there's a running joke in the show. You know, when you're depressed, what you do. You know, and it all. You know, there's like a series
you?
of things. What's that?
How do you deal with depression?
Well, that's another conversation, and probably one we can't really have in this polite family sort of newspaper thing. But yeah, you had that kind of running
So
joke.
you were going to make me have to
Well, you've already traveled down
family
that road.
unsavory. Well, yeah, I mean,
What?
I mean, who hasn't been through depressions? I mean, Americans are so afraid of any feeling that's not happy, you know, and yeah, we all go through depressions, and I think the more you own it, the more you know that it's part of life, and just let it wash through you, the more it feeds you and makes you a better person and helps you get to the next level. And, you know, I've had some bouts where, you know, I couldn't even leave the house, I couldn't answer the phone, couldn't get out of bed, and they were usually led to something great, some great writing and some great real focus and a really great perspective of myself and my life.
Yeah, you know, that comes through the show. Every time you hit sort of a brick wall, you know, you would sit down and you would write. So I was just
it helped me focus for some reason. Most of the time I write, always write, but you know, I just write random stuff. You know, nothing really connected, nothing, just, you know, incidents that happen to me, more journalistic, or jokes that come to my head. And then sometimes with these bouts of depression, somehow the whole thing just crystallizes in my head, sort of like I was in a cocoon or some kind of thing. And then the whole thing has a theme, and I start to visualize the whole beginning, middle, and end structure, and then I go and write, and I start performing it and testing it, and that live feedback is what makes these shows come to life, because it's not just a dialogue. It's these stories that have to be. It has to be an interaction between the audience and myself, and we have to do it together. I can't do it by myself. It's not that type of show.
We have a question from Zavi Marino from Twitter, wondering, Undefeated was the first and last time we saw you as a director. Any chance you're going to take on that role again?
I might now. I mean, thank God I had enough time, because it was the hardest thing I ever did, was directing, starring, boxing. You know, it was too much. I had no energy by the time they said, John, it's your turn for your close. I'd be like, I don't really want to do it anymore. I don't really care. You know, I was just beat up. You know, I ran into a lot of fists. I forgot the choreography, so I kept getting knocked out. It was just brutal. But I think what I do next time, you know, I learned from Jon Favreau and Chef how to really do it, actually. You know, I watched him, and he was, you know, you just got to pick something that you can do that's a little more accessible, and then you got to really hire actors that can handle themselves, so that you can be more of the character, you know.
Yeah, I noticed on your Twitter feed a lot of love for Chef. I would imagine that was a movie, at the very least, you ate well while you were making it, right?
Oh yeah, I gained almost 20 pounds. I got it to like 180 something. I'm back to my svelte 164, but John didn't svelte down as much as. Well, he was the lead, so he had to eat more.
Yeah, a lot of takes.
We did a De Niro thing. You know, we both gained weight for the role.
For the art.
Yes.
Yes.
The sacrifice. Aye.
So that was a definite side benefit of doing that movie.
Oh, the food that I ate was unreal. We went to the best culinary spots in America. Foodies would be so jealous. I mean, I went to Franklin's in Austin, and the guy prepared us the best brisket I have ever had in my entire life. Then we went to Versailles for the best Cuban food in Miami. We were in New Orleans. Emerald went nuts on us, and Roy Choi in L.A. I mean, it was incredible everywhere we went.
So what's for dinner tonight?
I'm on a diet for this movie I'm doing, so nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
No eating past 7 p.m.
Okay.
No carbs after 3. Yeah, I'm boring.
Well, it was great talking to you. Thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it, John.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on the show. It's great.
Thank you.